Fishing Show.
News Talk ZB, hello and welcome to your Saturday morning. It is that time once again on the station with the most. It is time for Fishing with Crimpy. Mr. Darryl Crimp, how you go?
Good, a bit disappointed what happened to the happy Saturday morning.
Happy Saturday. I've been getting.
Oh, don't take your thumb out of your mouth. A lot happening, so we're going to rattle through the show this week.
Yeah, we'll have to.
People might be forgiven for thinking that with the cold snap it's time to tuck away your rods and gear, but no, there's plenty of fishing to be had. Coming up in the show, a 95-pound groper was caught locally by Kurt Anderson.
Wow.
Now, I was going to ring him and talk to him, but he drives a tanker, and they won't let him have a cell phone near.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
No, so I'm going to buy myself a fuel tanker.
Yeah.
That way Annette cannot ring me when I'm out and say, will you pick up the groceries on the way home? Because I'll say, no, I'm in the tanker, and it might blow up.
Oh, you're a
But
smart
the fishing
fella.
paper, the fishing paper has been out on the street for about a week. It's really going hot. One of the stories that took my fancy is on page 10, Fancy a Flying Fish. And we have one of the authors of the story on the line, direct from Wellington this morning, Dee Newton. Good morning.
Good morning, Crimpy.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
When I read the story, I didn't know you were fishing in the Ken of Peru.
That's right.
And I didn't realise that you're a foreigner. You come from
Yep.
overseas. What the hell are you doing in our backyard?
Oh, I know. I've moved up from Christchurch.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm way across here, so.
Fair enough, you're a mainlander.
Yeah, that's
Just got lost. You can be forgiving. Briefly tell us what happened.
We were just having a really quiet day fishing. The kids were completely bored, and we decided, well, that's it. We've caught nothing, so we're going to head home. I pulled out the burley pot, passed it down the side of the boat to my husband. He started the engine. I gave him the sort of the thumbs up that I just released us off the mussel buoys. And the next thing you just hear this almighty banging and crashing. I honestly thought he had backed into the mussel farm. Looked through the hatch out the back, and this nice big fish is just absolutely flying around the back end of the boat.
You clunked a kingfish.
It was
I've never heard of anybody, catching a kingie that way before.
no, we were in absolute and utter shock. We never caught a fish that big, so we're not big fishos. So.
Well, technically, you still haven't caught it, have you?
Well, no, the boat caught it.
You ran it over.
Well, I thought it was quite clever because it's not only was it a flying fish, but it was instant sashimi.
Yeah.
How did you get it on board the boat?
Yeah.
Well, he just literally flew over, so he just jumped in.
The fish literally did
Literally jumped in
the boat.
into the boat. It's
That is quite an incredible story.
Isn't
it?
My husband and I both said to each other, "No one's going to believe this." It's just
Were you excited at the time?
no, complete and utter shock.
Oh, really?
Just, I mean, we've got it's only a 560 Senator.
Yeah.
So if you imagine, we've got two tote tanks at the back end with the fuel lines, and this fish is flying around beside it. So all we can think of is it's about to hit one of the fuel lines, and
I tell you what, this is a lesson. You're going to drive your boat around backwards all the time.
Yeah.
Imagine what you could catch then.
I have to ask you one question, though. Do you love your husband? Seriously, do you love him? Because from the story, it seems to me like he stands up the front and barks orders at you.
He does. Oh, yeah, well, here's another story.
Next edition of the
next
paper.
Next instalment, in the June issue, we'll have
There you
the
go.
real story.
Part two.
Yeah. What was the kids' reaction to this?
They were very shell-shocked. They ran to the front of the boat, sort of in behind the seats,
Yeah.
just sort of standing there looking until we got the thing under control.
Yeah.
Because it was,
it's
as I
cool.
say, it was just flying around the back end.
It's a kingfish.
Because I mean, obviously no one's been fighting it. It's full of energy, and we've still got no idea why he jumped.
Well,
I do. He's got blades in his head.
he was looking for the Panadol.
Yeah.
Where's the medicine cabinet? I've got a headache. How did you dispatch him in the end?
We ended up just bleeding him out, and then took him back to the camp at Havelock, and Pick, the camp owner, helped us.
Well, it's
sort him out and put him into some fillets.
And it's a fascinating story too, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, Dee, and we look forward to the next instalment. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
And we're back on News Talk ZB with Fishing with Crimpy, and I just got to say, Crimpy, before we carry on, that story we just heard from Dee is great. The flying kingfish.
I tell you what, it still blows me away, and I had to say I was quite staggered when you said to her off air that it didn't look as though it was knocked around much.
Oh, I said it didn't look very cut up.
No, but I said it was emotionally scarred.
It was killer.
As it would be. The tides this weekend, if you need to be out on the water, driving backwards, looking for a kingy to whack with your prop. Nelson high tide is at 20 past 3 p.m, that's a 3.3. Havelock, your high tide today is at 3:15, and that's a 2.5 metre. Crissel's 3.5 metres at 11 past 3, and at 10 to 3 this afternoon, you've got a 1.9 metre tide at Stevens. Down the coast to Westport, high tide at 4:45, 2.5, and ring, ding, ding, ding. Greymouth, yours is at exactly the same time, but it's 2.7. Not much difference there. Now, we have our second guest for the show. We did promise you it was an action-packed one. I have a bright idea. In fact, I have the man from Bright Ideas. He's the man from McMurdo, Alan Bright from Auckland. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Very nice to have you on the show. And speaking of McMurdo, can you explain what is a McMurdo?
Well, McMurdo are the manufacturers of beacons and like equipment. They operate from a factory in the UK, in Portsmouth. They are the original manufacturers of beacons and the largest manufacturers of beacons in the world.
Now, we're talking the personal locator beacons?
Commercial and domestic and terrestrial beacons, anything that basically that is designed to talk to satellites and save your life.
And so give a position. So you import McMurdo beacons not only for use at sea, but they have become very popular for the likes of people that are going tramping, hunting and that sort of thing on land. Yeah,
the small personal locator beacons now are so clever and so compact that they're good for keeping on your boat. You can wear it on your life jacket, wear it on your belt. So if you go fishing on your own, if you fall overboard, you get saved rather than the boat. If you go hunting or tramping, you can take it with you, and it does that job whilst you're out in the bush.
I have one of the Fast Find McMurdo PLBs, and I have to say that my wife was somewhat disappointed when I got it. She'd just increased my insurance policy.
Yeah, that is a drawback.
Yeah, and she said that if I had got lost, she was quite comfortable with perhaps me never being found again.
Yeah, it's a bit tough, isn't it? But then we are working hand in glove with the life insurance companies, you see.
Yeah, no, she is a lovely woman, but she is the opportunist. However, a few of my friends have actually used them and been saved by having one of those Fast Find. I suppose you can get various different breeds of them, but I know of people that have actually been saved by them. How effective are they, and how often are they being used?
Well, when you activate one of the McMurdo Fast Finds, you break a little fitting which stops it being tampered with by children, and it comes back to me for refurbishment, and I check the battery and tidy it up, and as long as I get the story about it, that's all free of charge to the user. And I'm getting 2 or 3 back every month, and that's a lot. The people who run McMurdo can't believe how dangerous New Zealand is as a place to have fun in.
So presumably prior to these things being available, there would have been more than 2 or 3 people getting into strife that needed emergency assistance, which is now available at the push of a button.
There is debate about that. It could be that because people now can buy these this type of safety equipment, they're being more adventurous. Because they know they can rely on being helicoptered out if something happens. That's food for thought amongst the rescue personnel. They're also being used when people have road accidents and things like that, if there's no cell phone coverage, and all those sorts of occurrences.
So at the end of the day, they are a very affordable and very effective and very cheap insurance policy. But my guest this morning, Alan Bright from Bright Ideas, the man who imports McMurdo PLBs. We'll have more of that in just a moment. And here's some stories perhaps of people who have been rescued, have been in trouble and been saved by McMurdo. More of that in just a moment.
News Talk ZB, fishing with Crimpy.
And it is a happy Saturday morning, and because we're talking to Alan Bright.
Yes.
For no other reason. Alan, how long have you been importing these location devices, these PLBs? And
about 5 years now.
Have you noticed a shift in people's thinking? Because, the old Kiwis have an attitude of it'll never happen to me.
Yes. What I'm finding is that, especially after that program High Country Rescue was on, a lot of wives saw that and insisted that their husbands bought one or bought one for their husbands.
Okay, so that you saw a dramatic rise in the use of them.
Terrific.
Yeah. What about at sea? Because I know people, we still have an issue with people drowning at sea or going missing at sea. Is there a shift there, or are people still too complacent?
I think people are a bit complacent. They say to themselves, well, I'm only going a couple of miles offshore, I'll be okay. We had a case, I'm associated with Maritime New Zealand as a volunteer. They had a case about 3 years ago now where there was a couple in a Staby craft only half a mile off the beach at Oamaru. They got tipped over. They were beam onto the waves, and they got tipped over, and they climbed back up onto the hull and waved to the people on the beach. And the people on the beach waved back.
As you
and
do.
The guy had to actually dive back under the boat and get hold of his beacon, which is why you must stow it in a place that's accessible if you have to do that, and summon the helicopter. So they were only half a mile offshore.
The fast find one that I have seems to be one of the more popular ones. I know many of my friends, since I've had mine, have purchased fast finds, mainly for use when we go hunting, but it's waterproof and it floats, so I dare say that can double as a marine one as well.
Well, it's got the same power as a marine EPIRB. It does exactly the same job, except that the marine EPIRB is designed to bob around in the water whilst it's transmitting.
I mean, they're compact too, so it's not like you're carrying a whole heap of extra weight into the mountains. So it's
only about 170 grams, size of a fat cell phone.
Yeah. What examples have you got of people that have been in rugged terrain or had mishaps and the kind of situations where the McMurdo has pulled them out and saved them?
Some recent ones. I had a guy who was deer stalking Taranaki bush, was out with his son, and they crossed a bit of a ditch on a log bridge. He slipped and fell down into the stream bed, broke his femur just above his right knee. Then his gun fell down on top of the brake, and that he found quite disconcerting, and realised he couldn't move, he couldn't get out of things, and he and his son discussed it and decided that rather than his son try and go and get help, they would activate the beacon. He activated the beacon, and his wife got a phone call from the Rescue Coordination Centre 4 minutes later.
Wow. So what is an average response time, say, if you do get into a sticky situation, from the time that you activate it to the time that, say, the chopper arrives?
Well, as I said, I get 2 or 3 back every month. It is very rare for me to get one back that's been on for longer than 2 hours.
In that case, if you were seriously injured, you've got a good chance of surviving and living.
Yeah, I'm sure they've saved heaps of lives. We've had a couple of cases lately of people just getting bluffed. Just couldn't go up, couldn't go down, and just had to call for help. Another guy camped in the middle of a dry riverbed, and in the night it became a wet riverbed, and everything got washed away.
That is a very real concern of mine too, doing in the alpine hunting, chasing tar and things like that. There's been times when we were younger, as you said, we didn't push the limits quite then like we do now because we have the emergency systems, but it is a very real concern of being bluffed, and if you do get into a situation like that, it's nice to know that you can be rescued. Hey, Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and giving us some insight into the value of having one of these things. They're not very expensive. They're great insurance policy. And if you want to check out more about McMurdo, go to the latest issue of the fishing paper, and on page 13 you'll find out about McMurdo. Well, what a fascinating show it's been. Action-packed, 95-pound groper, right through to saving your life with a PLB. It has been one happy Saturday morning.
Oh, it certainly has been one happy Saturday morning. New issue of the fishing paper is out now. Make sure you grab it. They're going fast, so be quick.
And I'm going fast. See you next week.
See ya.